you able to like? Is that a window that? No, there's no blinds or anything. Or is there a
Hmm.
light? Okay, good.
I can turn on another light if I
Yes,
need it.
yes.
Yeah, let me do that.
I just want to be able to see her. I feel bad. I'm totally getting to be that lighting geek.
Michael, you're just being a contrarian right now. You're using an or an Adobe. Okay. Oh, perfect. Much better.
Yeah, and then I was trying to use my headset, but the mic is not working, I don't think, so you may
So,
hear like trucks driving past me because I live in the city.
oh, good,
So they may be in the background.
cool. The you know, I'll go into that later.
Okay, so
So,
Miss Evan, go ahead, Monty.
no, I
And
was gonna say the same thing. It's just wanted to, Evan's out there and wanted to have her experience Blab, be able to tell her story of, what she's done in the past, as well as talk about her startup, which has been successful so far. And being a startup, they're brand new. So, and also introduce her to Andrea, who's an awesome person, and she's not even in the States, so she's totally out of the country. But again, welcome. This is Blab.
Thank you. So I guess I could say just a little bit about me.
Yep.
I am originally from Houston, Texas, and I moved to DC when I had an internship in college, and I fell in love with the city and really wanted to come back. But I actually worked in communications and journalism. I was classically trained to be a broadcast journalist, but a one-man band, so that I could do everything from idea to production. And I always had a connection to tech because I started coding in elementary school. And but I kind of had like a lot of things in the way of getting into the tech community, and then found out how tight knit the tech community in DC is. And so I started going to meetups and different events and stuff on that college budget, and figured out kind of how to find mentors. And I always had the entrepreneurial spirit, but didn't really know how to start a business, how early is too early, and really like what you really need to be prepared for it. So they definitely helped me settle in. And Startup Weekend DC was something that I did kind of like on a whim, because I met someone at a Women in Tech breakfast, and they were really excited about it. And they were talking about how it was all aimed at flipping the ratio and trying to get more women. And I was like, well, this may be a perfect opportunity to network, if nothing else. And then I would just participate in someone else's team. And so I actually fell in love with the concept of the team that I ended up working with.
And it was a great team. I think it was an amazing story in terms of what the team's problem was to be solved. And like your journey to Startup Weekend, I thought was really cool. But just how it all sort of, people don't necessarily even understand how Startup Weekend works. So maybe you could even explain a little bit more about how Startup Weekend works, and then what happened with, you guys eventually winning Startup Weekend.
So Startup Weekend is a like 54-hour immersive challenge. I would definitely say it was rigorous. And essentially you have to be able to build a business from scratch. My team was 5 people, and a lot of teams were a little bit smaller. There were a couple teams that were a little bit bigger, but everything is really collaborative. There's a lot of like games and things that be icebreakers for people to get to know each other, kind of like non-structured networking. And then once you've formed into teams and they pick the top 10 teams, everyone votes to build the teams. Then everyone really gets started on the work, and everyone has different methods. Our team was really collaborative. So I did a scrum board, and we kind of like decided what we thought would be plausible and feasible in the 54 hours that we could accomplish, because all of it is just up until that pitch presentation. So a person comes in and they pitch an idea. Then they recruit their team, the team works on that idea, and then there's a final pitch. And then the person of the final pitch pitches to the judges, and then the judges make the decision on who wins. So, I mean, it is a great experience. I mean, like I said, I went into it just wanting to network and seeing what I could get involved in. But to think that at the end of the contest, I would be so passionate about what it was that I'm working on, and then also really want to take the leap into the startup world. So, yeah.
Which I think is awesome. And I think the other thing about it is like, even tell them about what you guys are doing. Like, tell them about the actual startup, the name and what have you.
So the startup is called Reciprocare. And essentially, we've identified a gap between home healthcare agencies and home healthcare workers. And that gap is in terms of like missed shifts and unfulfilled business opportunities on the agency's part. So we're building a technology platform, a web app at this point, to bridge that gap. And then to allow agencies to tap into the underutilized resources of the home healthcare workers. So I'm really passionate about it because I have been a part-time and a full-time caregiver before, and I understand how hard it is to not only be the caregiver, but then also to coordinate care for someone else. So I was super excited to be involved in this because I know how many people it could help. And then just talking about, the aging population, there's so many people who are trying to age in place. They're trying to stay at home. They're not trying to go into nursing facilities and other things. And then it's also a preventative thing. We're helping keep people out of hospitals. Something as simple as a fall can put you back in the hospital for another week. And then it's almost like you start the physical rehabilitation process all over again. So, I definitely am excited to see where we go.
And you got a chance to even connect with investors already, which I think is kind of cool what Startup Weekend does in terms of just positioning you to say, okay, I know this is what we're doing as a startup, but then being able to go to the Startup Tech Day, the Tech Demo Day, I think is awesome too, because you get a chance to really engage other startups in the same community. Back to what you said, DC's tech community is really tight knit, so it's pretty cool to be in that community and not be quote unquote a government based business, because 90% of the businesses in the Washington metropolitan area are saying, hey, I want to get a government contract in some sort. And to see something that's not a government contract focused business become a startup that wins something, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I read a lot of stuff before I went, like before I made the final decision to go. I looked at a lot of the blogs and figuring out exactly how Startup Weekend was, and whether or not we were kind of going to be locked into a room and have to stay there for the whole time. But I was surprised, just like getting involved. And because it was, like I said, something I was passionate about, I was willing to stay. That first night we stayed till like midnight and they were like, y'all have to leave the building. And then we ended up doing the same thing the last 2 nights. And then like immediately after we found out that we won, it was like, okay, now we need to coordinate the next meeting and figure out what we can do to continue this and take the next steps. But we won to get a free booth at DC Tech Day. And then we also we're getting a power lunch with an incubator, with Halcyon Incubator. And but I think the really big thing is just talking to people that were there really helped validate the business as well. Because a lot of people have caregiving experience. A lot of people have people that they know that work for home healthcare workers or home healthcare agencies. And that is like the fundamental. That data is what we build the business on. So that was, I think, really valuable as well.
Now, did you go into this expecting to win? I just want to say how exciting that must have been, but I just want to know, did you go in expecting to win?
I had no expectations to win. I think the way I describe it is I went into it and I'm like, oh, wow, you could win this. And they continue to tell us throughout, these are the prizes. This is what you could get. But I never in a million years imagined that we would actually win it. It was just like, we got 54 hours. We got to do as much as we possibly can. And that was kind of the focus. We had our Scrum board and we had like 40 or 50 tasks and we were just trying to get them all done. And we were figuring out, what things need to be discussed as a group, what our CEO, Charlene Brown, would say, I'm going to leave it up to your expertise. So that meant that we didn't have to verify or discuss it after it was done. And then at the end, we were just like, wow, we did all these things. And so we were just happy at how far we had come. So when they called us out and they were like, yeah, Reciprocare wins, because they were like, it's going to solve a major social problem. We were just like, wow, that means that the need resonated more than the flashiness of our presentation. And then also, it was really, really good to know that the judges embraced that need as well. So that gave us a little bit of validation that didn't necessarily come in the form of a survey, but that they understood that need.
I'm excited about the whole concept of your business, primarily because I believe the need, yes, is great. And what you're doing is providing a service that allows people to connect and create relevant relationships. And we were talking about this the other day, how it's difficult for people to even find a fruitful relationship, especially how small the internet has become and how challenging it is to find the right people, and the proper expertise. So I'm so excited about what you're doing. And I know if you continue on, you're going to change the world.
Yeah. Definitely excited to try to do that.
What kind of device are you on right now, just out of curiosity?
I'm actually on a Windows PC laptop. It has an i3 processor.
What were you working with before when it wasn't working?
I was using my phone at first, and then I got on here, but I used Firefox at first, and it wouldn't load the actual video, or all I could do was hear you. And then I went to go try to use Chrome, and it told me my Chrome was corrupted. So now I'm gonna have to redo all of that after I get off of this. And then I went to Internet Explorer because I was like, maybe, just maybe it'll work. And it was like, we're not on IE yet, so you need to go to Chrome.
Right.
So I was like, I just hope that it'll still work in Firefox if I can go back and reload it. And it did.
Well, that's good to know Firefox actually works. That part I didn't know about it. Is it Reciprocare Solutions, or is it just Reciprocare?
Reciprocare Solutions.
Awesome.
And our website is reciprocare.co. Shameless plug.
Absolutely. Got to get the plug in there. Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just I was sending a message out on LinkedIn also. Just to kind of
okay.
Great website.
Yeah, all done in 54 hours.
Thank you.
What's up? And is it?
We did a couple of tweaks afterwards, but yeah, we had, at the end of the competition, we had a website, we had a prototype, and we had our pitch, and we did a lot of business validation. I think we had interviewed over 40 or 50 people in the different audiences to ask them what their pain points were and what their needs were, and most importantly, whether or not they would actually use the tool, and then doing competition research. So
yeah, the website's really clean, and I love the showing the team. I know we have to talk about the meeting last night, so we'll talk about that offline, but I think it's a wonderful start, a tremendous start. You guys gave out 350 cards at the event, the startup event?
Yeah, we gave out about 300 contact cards that had our website and social media profiles on it. And then also we gave out information for contacting our CEO or our CTO, Farhan, about technical questions or things that had to do with investing, because we wanted to make sure that they had a point of contact for specific questions that someone like me may not be able to answer.
Understood. Well, you do the marketing thing. That's your part. I mean, the marketing and then the Agile Scrum.
Yeah.
I think Agile Scrum is really, I think Lean and Agile are really two things that have become extremely popular these days. And, having someone on the team that has that understanding helps to just get things done. I mean, the clear picture is when a CEO comes in, they don't have the time to focus on all the details, and you help to manage those details. Project management is essential to success.
I think that's very important.
Yeah, and I really like it. You're fine. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear it.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that I really like it. I kind of dove into Scrum, but I think it's a really, really good collaborative tool because it gives everyone tasks that they have to do. But then if you want to collaborate on everything, after a task is done, everyone can discuss it. And then if there's changes that need to be made, or you decide that this is perfect and we just want to move it over, everyone has a stake. And I think a lot of times when you have teams where some people are a lot higher level than others, it's hard for you to connect on the same playing field. So being able to do Scrum and having people do particular tasks according to their category or their story, it allows them to still connect with the rest of the team at the end of the day on their effectiveness, but then also for the team to be more productive at the end because everything has been discussed. So these things that are magically up is not like, oh God, now we have to go back and change that 50 million times before it's right.
So I'm curious, and this is sort of a sidebar, but it talks directly to that. Daryl, I would say Motivating Minute was asking, is Scrum like Trello or Slack? He could actually just
no. So
Trello or Slack.
So we started using Slack, but I think Slack is more of like a collaborative tool that's really useful for like immediate things. So our CTO, he also is a software engineer, and I have a little bit of development background for front-end development. So a lot of times we go back and forth about the things that he wants to put in and the things that I want to stylize. And they're like conversations that are really quick. It's like, can you give me this contact form? Do you have this code? Can I fix this thing? And so it's not necessarily something that's like a long-term conversation or something that we're going to talk about for more than 15 or 20 minutes. So it's like it's that 5-second instant message to say, I need the code for this, or do you have this particular thing that you can copy and paste, or I need the logo. And so you can just send things back and forth very easily. And we usually use the direct message tool because it's instant on Slack. But I've never used Trello. I've heard of it, but I've never used it.
Trello is good for like client management, I think, primarily. So you can show them what you're doing. I mean, that's my experience. It's great for collaboration, but I just found it more effective for client management. Puts everything in one place and makes it easy for them to see what's going on so they don't have to spend an hour talking to you about things that you can already put on the board. So,
hey, just want to say hi, guys. How you doing?
Oh, hey, sorry.
Miss Evans.
His face is saying hi almost.
I know this guy and I know that lady out there, but from what I gathered from just kind of jumping in and stuff, it sounds like you want a startup weekend. Is that right? Or
yeah.
Okay, cool. One thing I didn't see is like and I probably could look through all the comments, but if you could, maybe you could post it again, is just your link to the website and kind of maybe a recap on what your website or app or whatever it is that you want startup weekend is. I'm just curious. Oh, there you go.
So I can recap. Just like you want to know what Startup Weekend is.
No, I know exactly what Startup Weekend is. Andrea already already put in your website there, so never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
It says she
okay.
He wanted to know more about what Reciproca does and what what you guys did and to win. He's a Startup Weekend vet too, so
Yeah, I've been to 2 Startup Weekends, so yeah, know all about it. But no worries.
So,
I mean, you don't have to go over everything again. I was just curious. Really, just wanted the link. She shared it, so I could do my research there. Don't worry. Anyway, like I know these guys wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about you, but I'm just like blabjacking at this point. So
no, stay in. But he had a great question. He wanted to know more about you, which I think is cool because we want to have you tell people more about what ShiftCare is doing, what you guys have done, how you guys see yourself going in the future, because it is a great problem you're able to solve by helping people. And I remember the pitch, but I also now understood how the pivot was. And even so, I have two things. I wanted you to talk a little bit more about the pitch and the pivot, but also the one thing I wanted to also touch on was the lean canvas, because I know they had the business model canvas at the Startup Weekend, like all of the business model canvases. Did you guys really do that, or did you move away from that with the Agile Scrum?
So we started with a business canvas, and I think it actually led to more questions than the original questions that we had, because our businesses in the healthcare field, there's a lot of stipulations, there's a lot of legal things that our CEO was very aware of, but other people weren't necessarily. So it kind of left us with a lot of questions that were kind of like, oh, now we have to figure this stuff out. So we started with the business canvas, and we probably got about halfway through it. And then we started thinking, well, is this the best investment of our time? Because we could come up with the best business model, and then tomorrow or Sunday we completely change it. So did we want to spend a whole lot of time working on that business model, or start actually talking about what it is that our product is going to be and how we're going to monetize it and how we're going to go from that point? And then, like I said, I introduced Scrum to everyone and kind of was like, well, we only have 54 hours, so we want to have enough stuff at the end for that pitch presentation. So
I lost sound.
Yeah, I think there's a little lag, maybe it'll be a minute.
Yeah, she might have to refresh. If she still sees this, hopefully you can refresh. And I think that's one of those things that's happened with the internet sometimes. I've seen that on a few blabs where people just sort of phase out and don't know why people phase out at some point.
Yeah. Oh, there's my friend Patrick Jackson. He's awesome. He's an author, professional speaker, and Amazon seller. He's pretty much all around type person.
Yep. I want to find out eventually more about Amazon. I do a little Amazon selling. It's funny to me because I think I've touched on so many different things in the online marketing world, but I didn't stay in any one thing too long besides the startup, my first startup. But I think all of them are very interesting. But I've seen people I'm an Amazon expert, I'm an eBay expert. I think they're all very interesting.
He can do it all. I mean, we've known each other for years now. So he does it all. I'm just saying.
Is he in Guam?
No, he's not in Guam, no. And I'm probably not going to disclose his location unless he wants me to.
Okay. I'll leave it alone.
He wants to come on now, so there you go.
Awesome.
He can tell you all about himself. He's an awesome person.
Cool.
If he can,
I guess he believes in the bull market.
Oh,
Oh, don't even start me. Kano is actually asking about podcasting. I'm a podcast mastermind member. Well, let me back up. Podcast mastermind actually but there's tons of money in podcasting. I'm a huge fan of it, and a lot of my friends are like the top tier podcasters out there. So yes, there's a ton of money in podcasting. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm in a loud restaurant. I'm in a loud Starbucks, so I'm just gonna come in, say hello to everybody. I've been listening to you guys. Great stuff. I'm doing great. I'll tell you what, I've been doing a lot of offline things, speaking and shaking hands, kissing babies for the last 2 months. And now I'm like, I don't know anything about Periscope, I don't know anything about Lab. I'm like, two months and I'm already kicked out of the internet world. So anyway, good to see you guys this morning. The gentleman on my right there next to you. What's your name? I didn't get your name.
My name's Monty. So,
Monty. Let me write that down.
That's who I am. That's what I do.
Mobile apps. Okay. That's the lean mobile app, right?
Yeah. So it's really with the lean startup concept, and essentially back to what everyone's talking about, the Agile Scrum. I think there are two separate modalities to how you actually can advance your technology for project management. But I'm very much a proponent of the lean approach.
Good. And then I heard Evan.
All scientific.
Can't hear you.
You hear up?
I tell you what, let me. Is there a way I can turn my mic off or whatever?
It's not you. They might need to refresh. I guess you'll come back in, but that's weird.
Where are you located, Monty?
So we have a location in Tyson's Corner, and we also have a location in San Jose, California. I'm sorry, I always say Tyson's Corner. Tyson's Corner, Virginia. And we also operate out of DC. And then we have our headquarters where we were founded was in San Jose, California. So I kind of go back and forth. One of my co-founders is physically in San Jose. He's from Intel. That's kind of where his background comes from. So he gave me exposure and experience with Intel based on him being there. And to give you sort of a quick, long story, I actually helped him to go out to California. I was like, why the heck are you going out there? You got a great job with California. And then I go out to California and stay there for a while. I'm like, okay, I see now.
It's kind of the way Facebook started, right?
It was the exact same way. It was funny. We're not Facebook, clearly, but it was the exact same concept. You know, it was someone said go west. You know, you hear go west, and you're like, that makes no sense. We're good on the east. It's good. And then you go out to the west, Silicon Valley, and you're exposed to things that are totally different. And you see the ecosystem, the caring nature that people actually have within that ecosystem, and you come to realize it's not the same. Add that to perfect weather 360 days out of the year, like literally flawless weather. It doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. It's perfect. I mean, here's how perfect the weather is in Silicon Valley. San Francisco has crap weather compared to Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, horrible weather. Mountain View, Menlo Park, all those things. Look at San Fran like, wow, I'd never live there. This is great weather. It's cold over there. But it's all just California weather.
Well, I'm in Dallas, Texas. And Andrea, it's great to see you. I know we hadn't heard each other's voice in so long. But we got to do our one-on-one sometime soon. I know that. I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
That's what I was saying. I privately stalk you on your motivational call.
Yeah, I know it. But Devin, I'm sorry, Monty, you're in Virginia, right?
Yes.
Okay, I know the weather up that way is kind of, I think it's raining and all that. So we pray for you guys up there.
Well, yeah, we're good. We're good right now. It was a weekend of not that great weather, but now it's just dried out. So we're definitely far better than it was in South Carolina. So they had flooding. We had a lot of tropical rain, but you know, I can't complain. Every day above ground is a good one.
Well, real brief. Right now I'm in the Amazon season because of the holidays in October, November, and December, and so I'm trying to get my profile to expand even more to take in more products, because a lot of times Amazon will start shutting down different categories products that you can put in Amazon. So right now they're starting to shut down on clothing items, bedding items. So I'm trying to really funnel those items in on my profile before they close it down. But we have to somehow stay in communication. I hate to be talking in a public place like this because I know my voice is starting to get louder and louder, and it's going to carry. And maybe that's good. Maybe we have an audience of everybody coming in, sit down with us, and I can show them the blab. Am I saying this right? Blab. Okay, I'm sorry. You got to coach me, Andrew. You got to coach me on this. It's brand new to me. I just signed in, so. But anyway, I want to listen to you guys. I might do it on my phone, but I want to at least kind of get out of the space because it's loud to me. It might not be loud to you guys, but it's real loud to me. And I don't want to take up the valuable time that you guys do. Okay.
Well, we appreciate you joining, and definitely appreciate it. Look forward to connect with you.
Definitely. One-on-one, Andrea. One-on-one with you. All right. All right. You guys have a great day. I'm listening in on the background. Okay.
Okay. One of the guys was actually asking about podcasting, and I was going to touch a little bit about that. Are you familiar with the podcasting whole dynamic and that whole?
No. Yes. Okay, go.
So I'll touch base kind of real quickly on it. That podcasting has really been a amazing experience for me, and what I actually started off with was blogging and the startup movement in the 90s. And then it became more relevant to me because it started to, one of the times I was actually, I had no job, no money, homeless, the whole scenario, and I had a website. And what was interesting to me was the website was making money for me. And I didn't understand, like I literally, no bank account, nothing. But the website it was a PayPal account, and I couldn't afford to pay for my domain name. I had no money to pay for anything. But the website just paid for itself. It continued to pay for itself and cut me a check. And I thought that was the craziest thing in the world. So I would literally eat based on my website doing what it was doing. I had no computer even. So literally go from I was doing nothing and it would just cut me a check every month to make sure the website was taken. It was like the website was a business and I was a guy just feeding off the website. So at that time I started to say, okay, what is the website doing that I don't know? Again, it's my website, but I didn't know what it was doing. So what ended up happening is I started to do more research about blogging because this is right when blogging started to pop off. And in that time, I started to understand, what were the better bloggers? Because most bloggers weren't even saying how much money they made. And I started to pay attention to some of the bloggers, and I found Internet Business Mastery. I found a few of the other companies that were doing pretty well. And at that time, that's when I found out the best bloggers were podcasters. And the podcasters, in many senses, would say what they were making, how they were doing it, and kind of walk you through the process, where the bloggers were like, okay, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing, but I won't tell you who it is. YouTube was sort of still in its ambiguous stage of, if you make money with YouTube, you can't tell anybody. But the podcaster would say, hey, and Pat Flynn, sort of the example, this is what I'm doing, this is how much I'm making, this is my process. And because he would say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm making, this is my process, people would then emulate what Pat Flynn was doing. So from a podcasting perspective, I started to network with some of the top podcasters by going to the conferences, physically hearing them online and then going to their conferences and going to their events and networking with them. I was able to physically meet with Cliff Ravenscraft, Pat Flynn. Before he became even famous, I knew the guy that was, what's the guy's name? Entrepreneur on Fire. He was just a regular guy when I knew him. And then all of a sudden he becomes Entrepreneur on Fire. He's famous interviewing all these guys. And I remember he was just a regular guy thinking about his podcast. Then he had his girlfriend kind of starting with this thing. And now he's making $250,000 a month. So I say that to say there's definitely money in podcasting. If you're struggling to find your niche, that's the problem. But the concept is catch the niche, catch the process, and just do a consistent platform, as Andrea would say, and share what you know.
Dumas?
Right. I love that commercial when the guy says that. He's like, I'm dumbass material all the way. Yeah, it's hilarious to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great potential for it. And I think if you look at what Blab is doing and what Periscope is doing and how you can build an audience very quickly, rather quickly than starting up a traditional brick and mortar business. I mean, not. right? Because, and here's the thing, what do you think about blogging now?
I think blogging is still required. So one of the most interesting things I had as an experience was I met two people at the same time I met a lot of people, and two people that were very significant to me were a podcaster who's Leslie Samuel, and excellent podcaster, probably the best presenter I know of in person, and he does an excellent Blab. A lot of podcasters are actually now on Blab too, which I think is awesome. But I met Leslie Samuel, but I also met a gentleman by the name of Bill Ballou. And Bill Ballou is kind of the antithesis of me in many respects. He's an older white gentleman whose focus is on blogging and just really kind of dominating that whole perspective. And as he talks about blogging, he puts content out every single day, 3 times a day, consistently, regardless of the platform. And his whole approach is that after a certain 7 months, it's either 7 or 8 months, something magic happens and you start to generate revenue and you can dominate any area because nobody else puts that level of content out. So from a blogging perspective, if you're going to blog, if you want to be dominant within the blog, you have to be focused on being dominant.
Do you think a music lab could work? Yeah.
I think its challenge is the copywriting. So if you have original music, yes. If you're building an original music or an original beat and if you're trying to monetize it, then yeah. But if you're talking about music, if you're having like a music show saying, hey, these are the hot tracks that are out, there are many ways you can do it. But if it's going to be just like a radio station, you're probably going to run into some challenges. I can't say what will or won't work, but I think it's definitely a unique platform that gives you a lot of opportunities to just figure out. Like Blab is such a startup that other startups can then capture it and take it and say, this is what we can do with it. Like that's why we're doing a hackathon focused on Blab. We're going to be able to bring people into an environment that says, hey, how do you use the streaming media for your business, and agilely help them to think, oh, wow, this is what we could actually expand Blab into as we do it. Frisbee was asking, can he jump in?
Yeah, come in.
I think it's an open seat.
Yeah, just know that if you get incorrect or improper, we will kick you. No, just keeping it real. But
Yep.
And he's trying. But for the most part, I think most people have great intentions on Blab now. So I'm just saying that.
I like Blab so much. Well, let me change that. I'm still not a fan of Blab.
Really?
But yeah, I'm always on Blab, but I'm not a fan of it. Partly because I don't think it's mobile yet. It's getting there, but because it's not totally mobile, I'm challenged by that.
You have to say that because you need mobile apps.
Hey, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, you're perfect. You're probably on a Mac, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm on a Chromebook.
Oh, wow. Well, at least it's Chrome, so I can understand.
But it's working okay.
So it's semi-mobile, like Chromebooks and certain tablets and the brand new phones, it works pretty well with. But anything that's not like brand spanking new, it has some challenges with.
I agree. Still has some kinks to work out. So Gary, what brought you here to visit us and motivate you to come on the seat?
Well, very cool. Partly because I saw that, Monty, you're in DC, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm in Winchester, Virginia, and as much as I love that we're in this whole world together, I love connecting with people who are a little closer geographically.
I agree.
Yeah, and so yesterday I went to the tech breakfast at the AOL headquarters.
I missed that. Oh, I usually go to that. I love it.
Well, it was fantastic. It was my first time going. I've been a regular at 1 Million Cups in Leesburg for about 2 years now.
I'm supposed to go to that too. I actually got an invite to do 1 Million Cups, and I'm supposed to talk at that.
I think our paths will cross soon, then, Monty.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know what? I'm kicking myself every day because I have the desire and the will to do podcasting. I have ideas that I want to specifically work on. Something's holding me back. I don't know what, but Blab all of a sudden looks like a much easier thing to create interviews with.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And podcasting to me is sort of it's an amazing thing because trust, I have all the equipment. I have mics, I have mixers, I have all those things
Wow.
that you need as a true podcaster. Blab just sort of adds that extra component where I can do, because most podcasters, to be authentic, use Skype. Like if you don't use Skype, then most podcasters are going to look, well, I don't really want to interview with you, or vice versa. Blab allows it to be really simple. I don't have to get any extra software. I don't need a real special mic. I can still treat my podcast where I do an intro, because always there's an intro. There's your hey, this is podcast episode number. That still happens, but this could be the meat and potatoes that you then wrap into your actual podcast. So I would do it. There's nothing really preventing you, especially with Blab, from just having that next step to say, hey, let me just put it out there on a consistent basis.
So I'm excited just getting that, little motivation, that little push, and I hear what you're saying. So have you been out to Winchester, either of you or anybody?
I can't say that I've been there. I know where it is. I probably have been through there, but I haven't been there specifically. Always open to come by. It's
1 hour west of DC, past Leesburg. We're in a little Shenandoah Valley, and 2 years ago, almost, our TV station got up and walked away.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I've never lived in a town. I've lived all over the world, big cities, small towns, but even Clarksburg, West Virginia, where my wife and I moved here from, we had 3 TV stations.
Wow.
What kills me, I am a performer, so I do a lot of school assembly programs, and I'm out in the public doing Frisbee shows. That really is my gig.
Wow.
Not being able to get covered on TV upsets me, but it also upsets me that the community doesn't have a way to communicate with the citizens. And I'm wondering, man, if I can start a Blab where I'm interviewing the mayor, the city council, the coaches from the high schools, the parents, the kids, as well as talking about what's going on this weekend, and somehow get advertising. I mean, I love doing this, but I do need to make, money also.
I think that'd be a great idea, and it's a great opportunity to do it, because I think Blab, first and foremost, I go back to some of the primaries. Blab allows you to get the audio file and the video file at the end of your Blab. You can take one, put it into YouTube as a promotion there, and you take the other and put it into the iTunes as a promotion there. And so you're giving the student, the people, 3 chances to be marketed. 1 in the live Blab, which is an awesome interaction. 2 on YouTube, which is, the number 2 search engine out there, period. And then 3 in the YouTube and in the iTunes platform. And that's why, again, I go back to podcasting is an awesome experience, because podcasters have been doing that for years, just saying, okay, I have my podcast, but I'm also promoting it on all these other platforms. The customers, the revenue will come, especially, like you have an interesting story, you have an interesting hook. I'm pretty certain if you actually just, tweaked it a little bit, you could definitely have a monetized strategy that makes this very, very feasible long term.
Yeah, I mean, I think long term, yes. I mean, I've done a few interviews with somebody who's doing a new thing in town, and I interviewed her the other last week on Blab, and she was like, it was her first time ever doing an interview. So She was nervous and said, I sounded awful afterwards, but she really got her point across. And it's like, it's great training for that also, because you're going to have to stand with people, or share your thoughts. So I'm meeting with her again, but I just saw it as, this is where I want to get into. I guess Naomi dropped off.
Yeah, sometimes it's. I think she'll come back in, but I think sometimes it actually ends up being an issue with the system. I guess Evan's coming in. That's another thing I think about. I love about Blab is that people can come in, they can come out, and let's say you were doing a Skype session, which I used to be a huge fan of Skype. If something happened with the Skype session and it failed, it's over. Like there is no coming back. You have to start a whole new Skype session over again. This one, Naomi could have an issue, I could have an issue, Evan could have an issue, and then we come back and the show continues. The show goes on. I love that aspect about it. That's one of the benefits of having a co-host. So the one thing I would ask or say, and most podcasters don't have this, but I know Cliff Ravenscraft does it a few times. He'll have a co-host, so it'll be him and one other guy. Eric Fisher is usually who he works with as a co-host, and for Blab, it's perfect. It could be Eric,
Right.
and it could be Cliff just having a conversation. If one of them has issues technically, they just come back to the show, and the show continues as they're not on it.
Right on. And is it Andrea or Naomi or 777? Okay. Well, 777, when you just took a drink of your tea, I thought, what a cool thing, to pass it over to me, and
That
for
would
me
be
to take it out of the drink there and have a sip, and then I can pass it up.
Ready?
That's brilliant.
I'm ready.
I need to get
Okay, go ahead.
ginseng tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you practice it, 99 cents, you can do it. Right. Just pass it over and pass it over. That would be a fun thing. And, maybe click on, go viral or whatever.
We're going to do that. We are going to do that. We'll give you all the credit. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I love getting credit. And you know what? Yesterday at the tech breakfast, I told the guy who runs it, and he runs 10 of them, I told him about Blab. Never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm saying, you know what? Your tech breakfast where people only have 7 minutes, the conversation could continue for hours. And those venture capitalists there, could get into much deeper things with the startups.
I agree. I think Blab is it is completely underutilized. It's awesome. Well, I'm still not a fan of Blab, but I think it has amazing potential. I say that just to bother Daryl, because our first Blab was really saying how much I hated Blab, but ever since I've been on it like more than any other platform. But yeah, so it is literally a great opportunity to just continue to engage people, to continue to promote what you're doing, to just have open, authentic conversations with folks you may have never seen before, and I love that about Blab.
And so when we do finally meet, Monty and 777, I have a relationship with you. I haven't just heard your voice in my ear on a podcast.
Right.
I've looked at you and responded to you. And I'm all about building trust also. I don't believe that you need to know or like people. I just believe you need to trust people.
Right.
And I think Blab is like the ultimate trust builder. And maybe I'm too trusting in some ways, but that's okay. I'll live and learn, and I'll tone it down or whatever. But trust is ultimate.
I agree with you. I love the fact that this does help you to get trust, does help you to feel connected to people. And that to me is what has been missing with things like Periscope and Meerkat. Like I would trust you by being, I'm aware of you, and that becomes just like the podcast. It's a one-way channel. I'm just having a conversation. I don't hear from you. I don't talk to you, but you kind of see it on Periscope. With this one, you're physically seeing it, and we can actually engage. Like one of the best one of the best Blabs we've done was with Daryl, myself, and Ruthie, our mastermind partner, and it was the three of us in the Blab, and then we would just have people come and rotate in to the one chair. It was almost like the hot seat. And they would be in there for 5 or 10 minutes, and we'd say, "Oh, thank you for coming. We want to bring the next person on. Thank you for coming." And it was totally by accident. But it was an awesome accident, and it was a great experience that we said, you know what, this could actually work as a show. And that to me was one of the coolest things about Blab, and that you could experiment like that, and it works out really well.
That's awesome. Well, I love that I've gotten to meet you guys. I got some things I need to go take care of, but I'm looking forward to catching you again.
Yes, and I will make sure to go to Tech Breakfast and the AOL events. And I know I've been missing all that stuff recently, but I will be there.
Okay, take care.
Appreciate you.
Try after that.
I thought I saw Daryl come in for a second.
Really?
I know he was here. Yeah, he probably heard me say his name, and then and then came in right after that.
No,
That's how it goes. His ears were burning, as they always say.
Yeah, Daryl, I'm being on Blab. Oh, I don't know why he keeps going off. He's like, I miss him being on Blab with us.
Yeah. Usually he's usually like me. I go to a different spot. I'm like, okay, let me go here and get on Blab real quick and then get out.
No,
but
I know.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's a little bit more intense with Blab than me. I remember he used to have like Blab marathons. I'm like, man, yeah, I was up until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on Blab. I'm like, wow, yeah. I'll never be there. And then right after that, I was up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on Blab. I'm like, cannot believe this. I'll never tell Daryl. It's on record, but we'll take that off.
We're gonna edit that out.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Triathlon.
yeah, triathlon and Helga.
Like, is that for real? An actual triathlon? That's pretty
Want to
serious.
have a behind the scenes view on the German triathlon scene. That's cool.
Wow. And it's a podcast. That's pretty awesome. See, podcasters are taking over Blab quietly. Like, they're quietly taking over it, and they're not telling people. Well, I guess some of them are, but not telling people per se that, hey, we're taking over Blab. But people that I know from the movement are quietly just coming in like, oh yeah, and they come in with their 400 or 500 people, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, why is that person so popular?
Yeah,
they have 100,000 followers someplace else.
Yeah, you know who they are when you look at how many people were there. So you're like, okay, this person's legit. I mean, although we are legit, but you know, startup.
Exactly.
So, but you know who's active, and you know, and Patrick Jackson, he said that earlier that once you go off the scene for like 2 months, I mean, just even a week, sometimes being gone from Blab is like,
it's massive.
It's there's a whole new crowd, a whole new set of faces, more people to learn, and in some respect, I think that's good because it's filtering in is you take a little break or whatever, and you come back, and there's a whole new set of people that you get to know.
And it really surprises me just to see. I mean, because when it first came out, and I remember I say this to say, Daryl would say this to me because he was, the Blab expert. He's like, yeah, man, I've gotten to know these people. I've gotten to really connect with them, and I feel connected. I'm like, okay, dude, you're crazy because that's not going to happen. And then he's like, all right, come on, let's do a Blab. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, really? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. He's like, all right, middle of the day, let's do a Blab. Middle of the afternoon, let's do a Blab. I'm like, no. And then finally he got me on Blab. Ever since then, I've been like, okay, I got it. Totally got it.
He told me about you, so I was like, I wonder when he's going to bring Monty on.
Yeah, because he had to tell you. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. We're not going to do that. We're going to do these other things. And then he finally got me on, and he got me on. I was actually, it was like a marathon. I was literally on for like 6 or 7 hours, and I had my earphones that I won from a hackathon. It's like bunny ears or something crazy. And I had the bunny ears on, and we had it was an uber nerdy Blab because we actually talked about Linux. Like, we were talking about tech stuff the whole time. So
that's exciting. I love tech, I swear.
Yeah.
Okay,
and we both
nerdy right now. Hold on. But you see my header, my profile everywhere. I'm like, I'm a nerd.
I need to with the Cam Studio thing. I know that he's been. I'm a Blabaholic. I'm only a Blabaholic if I admit it. So I don't admit it yet.
We're in denial. What stage is that?
Right, yeah, I'm a denialaholic about being a Blabaholic. So, yeah.
But I try to get my life back. So, I mean, the schedule of doing it once a day, and I know it's going to be an hour, gives me like approximately 3 hours. I'll probably be on Blab,
Right.
There's a science to it soon. Hey, Taylor.
Yeah, there's a science. We'll build a science behind it. So, and eventually we'll get Evan's technology. Oh, wait, she's working. It's working. We're back where we are with the featured guest.
It's happening.
Right.
So,
this point, no, we got a chance to talk about Reciprocare, that was the point. The startup weekend, which I think most people don't really get the benefit of. It's an amazing experience, and just like Evan, she came in there, had no idea what she was going to do as a startup. Just happened to connect with the right person and a great leader. And they had an awesome experience and resulted in a win that got them, the seat at the startup tech day. And that's actually what I was at instead of going to tech breakfast, which free food versus meeting friends. I could have done the free food and meet the friends, but you got the great event. It was awesome. So they did a wonderful job. They had too much candy there. Like the demo day was just, everybody had like huge mounds of massive candy, and they had a cotton candy thing there, and it was just sugar high. So everybody was just running around. Yeah. It had to be. I wonder what she would say. It had to, initially I was like, maybe like 100 people there. It was 150. For her to get 350 cards, it had to be probably 300 or so businesses there that were all startups. And then they all had their tables. and their tables might have had like 2 or 3 people at each one of the tables. So it could have been, 1,500 or so attendees / participants / members of the startups that were there. And it was interesting. I learned a lot about it.
So I think here's a good takeaway, because I know we're going to have to get off in a little bit.
Yep.
And we're going to try to keep it at an hour or a little over that, just so that we can respect everyone's time.
Yes.
Right? So the good takeaway for me, my takeaway, and I'm just going to randomly off the cuff, my takeaway from this particular broadcast was that, I felt that being the unexpected entry and just having enough courage to just be there, be present, allowed her to win. And if we have enough courage to get up there and do something for ourselves, our business, our passion, whatever it might be, doing that plus building the relationship plus doing the work every single day when you're called to do it is important. And it'll make you successful in whatever your goal is or aspiration. So that's my takeaway.
I agree. My takeaway is also in that same vein, taking action is huge. I liken it to the epic action I saw her take. Evan, just coming to the Startup Weekend, she wasn't really trying to do that initially. And when she took that epic action of showing up, everything else based on her experiences, her life experiences, helped her to reach that success. And I think that's the same thing even with us doing the show. It was taking action to get this going, because yourself, I was like, nah, I don't really want to do it. But this is an awesome experience. Right?
Yeah. So I'm really excited about the future, and Monty and I, we're planning on doing this every day.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the plan. So Daryl got me on Saturdays. That's when, t-shirts off, all the gloves are off. We just do purely stupid stuff. It has nothing to do with any kind of logic. But on this case, it's much more logical, much more organized. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. And I wish, Evan, I'm so grateful for you coming on, Evan, and stick with the fam. I'd love to be involved. Yeah. I'm so grateful for her coming on, just sharing her story.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. I love it. She's got me to be a Startup Weekend addict now. I'm actually trying to throw one in January. I'm always trying to throw events. I guess I should be an event planner or something. So depends on how things go. I'll be trying to throw a Startup Weekend in January. But before that, doing the conference, the hackathon, and getting all the logistics squared away for that. So we'll keep everybody posted about that. And trying to do one on the East Coast, and then planning to do one on the West Coast, and talk to some of our friends and see if we can make some stuff happen over there too.
So, I know. Well, I'll harass you and tell you to share.
Yes, harass me, make it happen. I was like, I'll just go on my cube.
Okay, I mean, I enjoyed this conversation, but I think we're good, and I'm so sorry we couldn't get Miss Evan back on, but I'm so grateful.
Yeah, thank you, Evan, and we will talk to everybody. See everybody soon.